Hello, Idaho, and thank you for tuning in once again to celebrate our virtual STEM Matters Week. My name is Crispin Gravatt, and I will be guiding us through discussions on what science, technology, engineering, and math looks like all over the state of Idaho. Right now, we are going to look at the world of cybersecurity and cyber initiatives. And to do so, we turn our eyes over to Eastern Idaho, where INL is leading the way in some cybersecurity and cyber initiatives. Joining us to help explain a little bit more about what these programs look like is CyberCore Program Manager Eleanor Taylor. Eleanor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Crispin. It's a pleasure to be here. And STEM definitely matters. And there's lots of activity in cybersecurity going on in Eastern Idaho as well as entire state of Idaho. So I'm very excited to be with you here today.
Yeah, we're excited to learn a bit more from you. So to kick things off, just tell us a little bit more about your initiative and your cybersecurity work over there.
Wow, there is a lot to tell. So let me just start by saying, and people may not recognize this, but Idaho National Laboratory is the world leader in control system cybersecurity. So there are lots of different nuances and roles and disciplines involved in cybersecurity. So it's kind of a big word that has lots of different meanings to different people. So you'll hear people talk about information technology or IT. They'll talk about things when you're looking at identity theft and fraud on the internet, that those are all cybersecurity concerns. But when we talk about industrial control cybersecurity or control system cybersecurity, that's a little bit different. That gets into more of the operational technology. So if you think back, I don't know, 30 years ago, the internet really didn't exist for most of us. And now, today our refrigerators are connected to it. And so there are lots of devices and things that were never designed to have this kind of artificial communication that now benefits from it. And with all those benefits also comes challenges and opportunities for saboteurs to get into different systems because of the way we've opened things up. So we work here at the INL to protect things that you might take for granted, whether it's the power grid or a chemical plant or water treatment. All of these things are really important, that we use every day. We don't always see or appreciate, but their security and ensuring that nobody gets in to mess with them is kind of the work that we do here at the laboratory.
That's awesome. And it sounds like a really broad field from physical systems to sort of the interconnectedness, the sort of Internet of Things, and this way that security interacts between all of those. And I want to make sure that my Wi-Fi connected fridge is as secure as possible.
Yeah, you wouldn't
So
want to
you,
get into that.
unless they want to buy my groceries.
There you go. There you go.
So you touched on this a little bit, but what sets INL apart in doing this kind of work?
Well, INL has had a long history. Obviously, we have our nuclear beginnings, if you will, but you can't think of a control system that needs cybersecurity more than nuclear. So it
Mhm.
kind of makes sense that our national security and all of those things would grow out of our nuclear mission. And so we've been doing this for a very long time, and we look at all different facets of cybersecurity. So we have people here that do threat analysis to understand where the threats are coming from, what the attribution is, to actually getting into the circuits and diving in to make sure the pieces and parts aren't compromised and there aren't
Mhm.
backdoors engineered into some of the circuits that you would never see or think about, to our own information management. So INL doesn't just do research on cybersecurity and help protect the nation. We also have to do our own cybersecurity because as a national lab, we are a target for hackers
Mhm.
trying to get into our systems. So we have it both on the operational and on the information technology side, and bringing those two kind of really important groups together helps us have a much stronger footprint and wealth of expertise in this area.
Yeah, and it sounds like this goes all the way to the top over at INL,
Oh yeah.
and it's pretty high stakes work. And I imagine that in order to make sure that both your own cybersecurity is in order and that you're conducting research to stay on top of everything, you need a broad and skilled workforce. So, what are you seeing as the biggest needs regarding your workforce or the skill sets in cybersecurity and similar careers?
Wow, so that's a really loaded question. And the good news is there is so much opportunity and so many different skills that we need that there's kind of room for everyone here. And when we think about STEM and leveraging STEM, cybersecurity, even critical thinking or puzzle solving skills, like
Hmm.
if students like those things, that's STEM too. It's not all about science and math, and those are important, but they're not deal breakers. So for students that are thinking about this, a lot of students love gaming. We're looking at the gamification of cybersecurity to help make it more fun and interesting to learn because there's such a crowd that are already thinking in ways that
Yeah.
we need but might not see it that way, or kind of see an obstacle because of math classes might be something that is required and something they may feel that they're not that good at. And so we're looking to kind of get all different avenues and pathways to get you into a cyber mind frame because there are so many jobs, there's so many opportunities. And I think another thing that Idaho should be super proud of is there's a strong legacy here that's existed for years. The state has been pioneering in so many different ways, from Idaho State University and the University of Idaho. We have been building, I'm looking at this timeline of some of the things that happened, things, started here in Idaho years ago. And we also are home to several accredited centers for academic excellence here at our
Hmm.
community colleges and universities in cyber. So there is nothing but a wealth of opportunity. There are clubs, events, games, competitions that students of all ages could be taking advantage of right now. There are programs and certificates that are available, whether you're in high school thinking about a future career or you're in a career looking to upskill or reskill. There's so many different pathways to cybersecurity and the different types. And so the great news
Yeah.
about cybersecurity, it's not a one size fits all. If you're really good in a particular area, you can use that strength and work in that area. If that part, if maybe you don't like coding as much but you really like tinkering with things, the cyber physical side of things offers opportunities. So don't let one obstacle stand in your way. But we need students, we need staff, we need workers of all different kind of competencies and backgrounds. And as the cyber threat landscape continues to grow because of the Internet of Things, because of all of these different um, threats that are coming to us, we need people from all different backgrounds. We can't do this in any one discipline or in any
Hmm.
one prescribed way. So it's just going to continue to explode. And I can tell you, I have right in front of me some of the job numbers, and the
Hmm.
starting salaries in these fields are astronomical. You could come out as a first year student into jobs that are paying anywhere from 45 to $75,000 a year to start. And another thing
Yeah.
that I think is really important for your audience to recognize, there are opportunities for dual credit in high school. There are opportunities to maybe go to a community college or a 2-year program at a university to get certified and to start in the field. And then there are a lot of employers that will help subsidize your education. And there was also just a big apprenticeship announcement with Idaho State University and Siemens Energy, along with READY, which is the regional economic development arm of Eastern Idaho. So there are all kinds of things in Idaho Business for Education, also looking at apprenticeship programs. So there is just a wealth of opportunity that exists for students, parents, educators, people that are interested. And I want to do anything I can to help
Yeah.
them find their way into these roles.
Well, you touched on a few really good topics here. The first one that you mentioned was sort of the gamification of cybersecurity education initiatives. I really like puzzle RPGs myself,
Right.
and like solving problems like that. So being able to build those sort of critical thinking skills in some pretty unconventional ways is a really interesting take on how to prepare for a future career in cybersecurity and related industries. And to that end, you talk about how it takes all sorts to get a well-rounded sort of holistic approach to what is at times national security issues. And I really want to drive that home because I think you and I have a shared background in that we're not necessarily hard math, STEMmy people. We both have a sociology background,
Right.
but we understand the importance of developing these critical thinking skills and supporting these problem solving initiatives and building a workforce that can really look at the holistic issues, at the holistic problem as part of a team. So, in looking at bringing in all of these diverse backgrounds, individuals, and experiences, what are you seeing as some of the biggest challenges to bringing people into the field? And maybe if you had a magic wand, what would you do to solve the challenges that you're facing?
Well, those are some great points. And I want to go back to one thing that you mentioned because I think it's really important. Well, actually, two things. But the first thing, when you talk about this being a national security issue, that is really no joke. We really are facing such a critical gap, especially when I talk about control systems, cybersecurity. We only have 10% of the workforce that we need. So
Mm,
that is, when you think of the control systems I'm talking about that we protect, that really is a national security issue. And one of the things that I think is really critical about Idaho is not only is the lab here that has that expertise, but we're surrounded by our universities. We have a strong relationship. As a matter of fact, the building that I'm talking to you from, the CyberCore building, was funded by the state. So I wouldn't be here without them. And we're working really hard to take some of our expertise and opportunities and propagate that more with our universities and community college partners. So, national security, and there's a patriotic spirit here in the state that when we're coming together to address this, and the state has a task force looking at these issues. We're working with the President's Leadership Council, which is the presidents of every Idaho institution for
hmm
higher education coming together around cybersecurity. This is becoming a nexus. And what we're hoping to do is not only get the workforce, the students, the staff necessary, but use this as a model for the nation so that we can address this very real national security concern that we have with only 10% of our workforce currently trained in control system cyber. So that's one thing I really want to emphasize.
hmm
But when you talk about the magic wand, you mentioned that we both come from a sociology degree, but yet we're both heavily involved in STEM careers. And so I just want to use that as a platform to encourage students and encourage others. We went to school in a different path and still found our way here, even though we didn't come from the more traditional STEM background. So that
hmm
it doesn't matter where you come from. If you have interest and drive, you will get here, and we are here to help you. And if I had that magic wand, the one thing I wish I could make happen immediately is to bring all of these resources together so that it had more visibility, that we could amplify, all of the things that the STEM Action Center is
hmm
doing, all of the things out of the Idaho Technology Council, the things the task force are doing, all the different programs that exist within our community colleges and universities. There's such a wealth of resources, but I'm not sure that everyone has kind of that more holistic sense of what's available or the pathways, like where do I start. Sometimes just trying to figure out what the next step is the most paralyzing of them all.
hmm
But there are all kinds of resources here to help, whether it's from the lab, the STEM Action Center, your local community, your high school. There's all different ways to get here. And if I had a magic wand, that's the one thing I would do, is like cyberidaho.com or whatever that web address would be, where you have all of that information or opportunity in one place.
Yeah, and I've seen just in the work that we both do, you are doing a lot of work outreaching to institutes of higher education, outreach to other local employers and workforce development trainers, et cetera, really to spread the message about the potential for futures in cyber careers. And that's something that we're doing together at the Idaho STEM Action Center in partnership with INL and a plethora of other organizations throughout the state with our Idaho STEM ecosystem initiative,
Hmm.
really trying to get everybody on board around sort of a central messaging so that we can go out and engage our communities and not sort of confuse the message and bring everybody into the fold and help people understand that it really isn't any one pathway into these careers. It's really a diverse experience that makes these fields so robust and so powerful and able to meet the challenges that we're facing. So I think those are
Yes.
some really impactful points just to drive home. And potentially ways for folks to get involved by reaching out to their institutes of higher education or staying abreast of some of the news that's coming out about the initiatives that we're partnering on.
Well, and I wanted to bring up, because that is so important, and there are so many different things. Again, just to reiterate the wealth of capability that exists in the state. Last year there was a Cyber Scholars contest, a competition. So there were 10 Idaho high school students that were named National Cyber Scholars after competing in this national competition. And just for perspective, 10 Idaho ones, there were 30,000 students that started this competition. Only 5,000 advanced to the really grueling 48 hours of competition. And of those 5,000, 10 of them came from Idaho at the high school level. And, there's Cyber Start going on right now. There's all kinds of little competitions and things like that, and opportunities for kids to test their knowledge and kind of pique their interest that exists
Mhm.
currently. And for a state that's not really large, I think that's a huge accomplishment in what we're able to do. And we're seeing this time and time again. So we're really excited. And we have foundationally, the EzTech program that exists at Idaho State University, one of the very only cyber physical programs that exist in the country. We have things out at University Place and with the University of Idaho, some advanced degrees and opportunities. And just this year, Boise State introduced their core curricula. It's all asynchronous. So it's cyber operations and resilience. The entire courses are available online. You don't have to be in Boise State, and anyone can take them. And they're working really closely with the community colleges so that as you take courses in your community, they will, just adapt to the core program so you can continue moving forward. So there has been huge advancements. And I know, because we're in Eastern Idaho, the College of Eastern Idaho just got their accreditation, and they are offering excellent programs, and we're doing lots of things. I partner with them on our CyberCore summer camp. And this summer, not only did we do it with CEI, we did it with CSI, we did it with Boise State. So we're growing that footprint and trying to reach as many in our community and our
Mhm.
state as possible, and just leveraging all of the best practices that exist, and couldn't be done without the STEM Action Center, without my counterparts here at the lab that do some of the STEM outreach for us, but more importantly, our university and college contacts as well. So it's really great to see this ecosystem, and everyone kind of, the sum is greater than the parts, and we're all coming
Mhm.
together to try to make this happen, and make it as strong and as valuable as possible.
That's exactly right. And part of what I'm hearing as well, especially with the incredible representation that Idaho is getting on this sort of national level, is something that I'm seeing as I travel around the state and engage with educators and students. Idaho students are brilliant. And if we give them the opportunity to engage and explore and tinker and fail and learn from that failure and build something new, they will take that as far as it will go. And that can lead to some really rewarding and important and impactful careers right here in Idaho. And so, sort of on that vein, what is your biggest hope for the future of this kind of work, and potentially especially related to the education and workforce initiatives?
So I think one thing that you said that I want to go back to is the failing part,
Mhm.
because fail fast, but failing is one of the best ways that we can learn. So please don't be afraid of that. That is a great way to figure things out. And I think sometimes we're hardwired to, look at that as something different. So as you go into cybersecurity and start understanding things, that is a really important lesson to bring with you. And one of the great models, again, I'm here in Eastern Idaho. I was invited to Compass Academy, where they did a showcase of their different projects, where they took to, Kathy Owen is a CTE teacher at Compass, and she married it with the English class. And they did a set of almost like a cyber science fair, where I got to see all of the different projects and speak with the students. And they always amaze. They do things, they think things that we can't even conceptualize, and we need that creativity, and we need that spark in ingenuity in what we're doing in cybersecurity. So the one thing, if I could continue to get people excited and open their minds and think about cyber and get excited about it. Someday I'd like to see the Sweet 16 of cybersecurity, or have competitions and things where people come and cheer for their favorite team, and we do these red blue activities, or we have the Cyber Force competitions where we get teams from each of the schools. And I'd love to see that elevated and celebrated,
Mhm.
and get people really excited about what they're doing and sharing ideas, because I think we are in a very unique place where we're able to take advantage of all of that opportunity, of all of that community spirit, of all of that kind of pride and excitement. And I think we can do a lot to demonstrate how we can make strides forward in cybersecurity within the state, and more important, nationally, so that we can secure and create innovations here in Idaho that have lasting impacts.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the programs that you're doing that just make this sort of fun and engaging and introduce in a new way cyber fields, sort of like the capture the flag programs, things like that. These sort of competitions that are fun and engaging.
Right?
So, could you tell us a little bit more about what some of those are and ways that folks might be able to learn about those happening in their community or bring them in if they're not?
Sure, absolutely. So obviously at the INL, we have a webpage that has a lot of these different activities listed on it, and I can put that in the chat. But the capture the flag, I kind of consider like cyber yoga. It's not designed to be like how Crispin is doing against Eleanor, or Eleanor is beating Crispin. It's really to kind of encourage you to like solve things and want to solve more, and kind of build up your skill set and your points as you continue to learn. It also helps you understand, like, wow, this part of cyber comes really easy to me. I was able to breeze through questions related to this. I find this part more challenging. And depending on your personality, you'll either want to keep doing where your strengths are and
Mhm.
push that way, or you might be more introspective and be like, wow, I wish I understood this a little bit better because I want to be more well-rounded. Both answers are great. But one of the things we're hoping to do in conjunction with the STEM Action Center this summer is to bring our capture of the flag to the Idaho Library, so that we can give Idaho students across the state, whether they have access to a computer or internet, the opportunity to participate in one of those. And again, the only one you're really competing against is yourself. There are other competitions where it is a team event and you are competing against other teams, and looking at everything from phishing and social engineering to actual protection and things like that when we go to capture the flag. So you have some teams that are working to get in your systems, and you have other teams that are working to keep them out. So it's a great hands-on opportunity to learn about what it really takes. And cyber is all about people. So as much as it sounds like it's
Mhm.
technology, it's about people. So it's, a lot of times when we think about phishing and social engineering, again, that's playing to the person. Technology isn't the part that, we put in our password. The person that gets you to do that is playing to you and what you'll react to. And so we can't ever forget, cybersecurity at the core is about people. And so, let's not turn into technology. If you care about people, you can care about cybersecurity. And that's kind of where it all starts. And then we can go from there.
Yeah, and that's a really important reframing of cyber fields, that it is still, regardless of any previous conceptions, it's still a human-based, human-focused industry. Are there other misconceptions or anything that you hear about cybersecurity and other cyber fields that you want folks to start to think of differently?
The only thing I'll say is that, again, a lot of times because it is considered STEM, and I would agree with that classification, doesn't necessarily mean that there is a math or science component necessary to get into cybersecurity. And I'll also tell you that our university partners are also looking at their curricula and saying, if this is a barricade to getting people in, then, do we really need that? And, to be a cyber engineer, when you're doing cyber physical, the engineering is a little different. It's more hands-on. It's not as
Mhm.
math-based. So I am not taking anything away from the importance of science and math, because they are critical and they really do help with your abstract reasoning. There's
Right.
a lot of different interplay that exists across all these fields. But if you struggle in one of these fields, don't let that be a barrier to you coming into it, because and sometimes just getting the ability to apply your knowledge helps you learn these things differently because your frame has changed. So I guess the one misconception is you don't have to be the best science student or math student to be really good at cybersecurity. And you may find as you push forward in cybersecurity that you get better in both just by the nature of having a more applied way of learning about those fields. So, you
Right.
know, it is open to everyone. There's all kinds of different pathways, entry points, and exit points to these career fields, and they are there for the taking. And we need you. Again, there are going to be over 3 million openings. Currently in the state of Idaho, there are 500,000 open cybersecurity positions today. I just checked at cyberseek.org, which is a great resource to make sure that my numbers were correct. So, there is an opportunity here to protect your nation, to enjoy your work, to get to work with amazing team, learn new things, and all at the same time make a great wage and protect your country. So I can't think of a better way or a better future than cybersecurity, but I will admit I am biased.
And I'm the impartial judge, and I'll say that it's a pretty good pathway to jump into. And it sounds like uh, STEM looks and feels and operates any number of ways when we're in practice, when we are in a career field. And because of that, there's no single right pathway into a STEM career in cybersecurity, especially.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the well rounded need for a broad and diverse workforce to come into this field.
Well,
So,
and Crispin, I would just say that STEM is everywhere, whether you call it out or you see it. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's STEM underneath what you're doing, whether you
mhm.
like it or not. So it's important to everything we do, whether you recognize it or not.
Yeah, it's not just a field of subjects, it's a way of looking at and engaging and thinking about the world.
Exactly.
So, looking forward, what should students, parents, educators, communities start doing now to set themselves up for success in fields like yours?
Well, I think some of the biggest things is, taking advantage of the online resources. There are a plethora of free things that exist, from your own cyber hygiene and understanding, like, you may not want to leave the default passwords on your routers, or, actually go in and change those things for a reason, to some of the challenges and competitions and things that exist, because those are all free and widely available. And if we could take advantage of those resources, that would help us kind of position ourselves for some of the other opportunities. And you'll be seeing more coming from the Cybersecurity Task Force. You'll see more
Mhm.
coming from the STEM Action Center. I think 2022 is going to be a huge year for cybersecurity, and that one-stop shopping, that resource page, that is going to exist statewide, and that is something we'll all be able to leverage so that you can see and kind of map your path forward.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want folks watching to know about you, your work, and the field in general?
You can do it. Anyone can. So I don't care where you're coming from, what you're thinking. If you have interest, there is room for you in this field.
Awesome. Well, Eleanor Taylor, thank you so much for joining us from Idaho National Laboratory. We look forward to engaging more in the future, working on programs, and building a broad bench of people to go into cybersecurity fields together.
Go fight, win. We got this.
We love it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out all of our other videos for our virtual STEM Matters Week 2022. We've got a lot more discussion underway, so I will see you next time.